El presente perfecto del subjuntivo. Cuando usamos el presente perfecto del subjuntivo? As you learned before, moods in Spanish are made up of varying verb tenses. Today, you are introduced to a second verb tense of the subjunctive mood, the present perfect subjunctive. So while you've seen a lot of present subjunctive, now we're moving on to present perfect subjunctive. We use it to react to positive and negative situations in the past. Por ejemplo, es genial que sus hijos hayan visitado Disneyland. Cuando formamos el presente perfecto del subjuntivo, the present perfect subjunctive is formed very similarly to the present perfect tense from the indicative mood. You likely learned the present perfect in a previous semester of Spanish. You may remember that the present perfect uses an auxiliary verb to help explain what someone has or has not done. Por ejemplo, mis niños nunca han visitado Disneyland. This is the indicative example. ¿Cómo formamos el presente perfecto del subjuntivo? Formation of the present perfect subjunctive consists of two verbs, an auxiliary and a past participle. So first, we'll talk about the auxiliary, which is always going to be haber. So for the present perfect subjunctive, you'll always first need to do haber in the subjunctive. So we would do your options here, either haya, hayas, haya, etc. Then, second, you would appropriately conjugate your second verb using the past participle. Remember, to form the past participle, you remove the infinitive ending of the verb, ar, er, or ir. You add ado to the stem of ar verbs, and you add ido to the stem of er and ir verbs. So if we put this all together, let's practice forming the present perfect subjunctive of hablar. Step 1, conjugate the auxiliary verb haber. So you would find, for instance, if you were doing the yo form, haya, then you would form the past participle of your second verb, so you would remove the infinitive ending of the verb, in this sense the ar. And since it's an ar verb, you would add ado. So if we keep it in the yo form, it would be yo haya hablado. Go ahead and take a second to pause this screen and write out the conjugations for all of the forms. And then the next slide will give you your answers. So here are the present perfect subjunctive conjugations for verbs that end in ar, such as hablar. Both verbs, the auxiliary and the past participle, are present in these answers. Note that the past participle stays the same for every conjugation. It's the haber that identifies the subject. So here you can see your answers. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for an er verb such as comer. So follow the steps outlined here, and then the next slide will give you your answers. Here are your answers of the present perfect subjunctive conjugations for verbs that end in er, such as comer. Remember again that it's haber that identifies the subject and changes every time, but the participle ido, comido, stays the same. Finalmente, practicamos con un verbo ir, como vivir. Go ahead and pause your video if you need the time. Y aquí tenemos las respuestas. Here are the present perfect subjunctive conjugations for verbs that end in ir, such as vivir. Just a reminder about the subjunctive, it can only be used when a subordinate clause is present. In other words, you have to have two subjects and que, but there are exceptions to this rule, such as ojalá, quizás, tal vez. So in the example sentence, yo quiero que mi familia venga este verano a Iowa City, you could, for instance, say, quizás mi familia venga este verano a Iowa City. That would be an exception to this two subjects and a que rule, but other than these exceptions, just remember what you need to form the subjunctive. Y aquí tenemos unas frases para practicar. These are fill in the blanks, so I recommend hitting pause, make sure you read through them, and then check in for the correct answers. Es triste que tú nunca hayas conocido a mi padre. Número 2. Es genial que nosotros hayamos terminado nuestra tarea. If you had any difficulties with this sentence, again, remember you first conjugate haber in the subjunctive based on your subject. So number 1 is tú, therefore hayas. And number 2 is nosotros, therefore hayamos. And then your verb is just your participle, ido or ado.